countdown of the top 10 worst hurricanes. At number 10, Charlie, which was the strongest to make landfall in America this century. Number 9, the Great New England Hurricane of 1938, which is also referred to as the Long Island Express. Our next hurricane whacked the Northeast as well and was the second costliest in U.S. history. It affected 24 states, including the entire eastern seaboard, and was so monstrous it became known as a superstorm. At number 8, Sandy.
A lot of us here at the Weather Channel have just been stuck.
No storms like this in the record book.
This is going to be something that's going to shut down the Northeast.
We are talking about a monster storm.
It's coming in big, and it's coming in strong.
This is really just staggering.
It looks like it's out of a movie.
What we think we're going to see is the worst storm ever in some locations. Sandy wasn't a very intense hurricane, but it was an extremely large hurricane. In fact, it was the largest hurricane that we've ever measured. It was about a third the size of the United States. Because it was so big, it was moving a tremendous amount of water toward the coast. That had two effects. One was the water had a tremendous amount of power, so it got pushed up 15 feet high or so against the New Jersey coastline, into New York Harbor, up the Hudson, up the various rivers. The other was it was over 500 miles across that it was pushing water. So that was so much coastline affected that when you added up all the effects, you ended up with the second most expensive storm in U.S. history.
Damage estimates from Sandy amounted to at least $50 billion in the U.S. 650,000 houses were damaged or destroyed, and about 8.5 million lost power. The New York City subway system suffered extensively due to storm surge flooding, and the New York Stock Exchange was subjected to a historic 2-day shutdown.
Two things made Sandy so unique. One, the way it was the ultimate hybrid storm, a hurricane within a gigantic nor'easter, and two, the track that it took, hooking directly back toward the New Jersey coast, which was unprecedented in the known historical record.
Superstorm Sandy made landfall on October 29, 2012 as a post-tropical cyclone with hurricane-force winds. It caused 147 direct deaths, 72 in the U.S., with 41 of those due to the storm surge.
Even though catastrophic hurricanes are relatively infrequent in the Northeast, Sandy demonstrated that, in fact, they can happen. They have in the past, happened with Sandy, and happen again in the future.
During Sandy, the highest water level found in New York was over 8 feet on Staten Island. That's where a couple found themselves face to face with the incredible power of storm surge as they tried to get out of their home.
A wave came through and just broke down the back door, and the house started filling up with water, and we couldn't open the door. So we were trapped in the house, and there was just 2 small windows in the front, and Bill kind of pushed me through one.
Once she had gotten through, I handed the 2 cats. I says, you know, just go, just swim.
And he said, swim as fast as you can. Tell my boys I love them. He was trapped in the house.
And at one point I had said to myself, you know, I'm gonna die here. I gotta figure out a way out. So when I had handed it to the cats and she had gone, I just said that was the only way I can figure I can get out was that opening, and I had just started elbowing the frame, and the frame of the window had popped out. It gave me enough to get through the window.
Bill left the remaining 7 cats as high as he could in the house and headed up the street.
When you got into the street, the water was even higher, and I was about like maybe chin high, and I was trying to keep my head afloat. There was a point when the current was coming so hard that I didn't even see houses. I thought I was being pulled. It felt like I was being pulled back into the ocean.
I couldn't hold myself up, and my cats started clawing on me, and I had to let one of them go. And then started swimming as fast as I can.
Bill was able to swim through debris-littered water to higher ground, all the while not knowing where Kim was.
I saw a house with candle lights, I guess it was, and I just started screaming for help. And I swam through a garage door with one of my cats in my arms, and there was family upstairs, and they had helped me up. My face was cut open. I was bleeding. I didn't know where Bill was. My cat died in my arms, and the police officer drove me to my mother's house a couple of towns away, where I just laid in bed and cried in my mother's arms. A couple of hours later, Bill came through the door, and it was just like I thought I was dreaming. I was just so happy that he made it.
But the beachfront bungalow that Kim had rented for the past 15 years would no longer be considered home.
Maybe about 3 feet of the corner from the front of the house was standing. The rest of the house was just demolished. It was gone.
And none of Kim's cats survived the surge from Sandy.
It cost them their lives by me not leaving that day. And I can never get them back, and it's a regret I'll always have. I miss them terribly, and my little babies.
An incredible example of just how damaging water can be, and an amazing story of survival. Just ahead on the top 10 worst hurricanes, the most intense hurricane on record to hit the U.S.
People that survived clung on to tops of palm trees.
And later, the deadliest natural disaster in U.S. history.
That's one of our photographer's vans out there. You can see that is now seeing water halfway through the window.